Hi there, Smart Drivers. Rick with Smart Drive Test talking to you today about the very beginning of learning to drive. These are the beginning lessons that you need to do in order to be successful on passing a road test. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to give you the very beginning step-by-step instructions of what you need to do to be successful in learning how to drive and pass a road test. So stick around. We'll be right back with that information. Hi there, Smart Drivers. Welcome back. Rick with Smart Drive Test talking to you today about learning to drive, where you get started in terms of your, on the road to getting your license, so to speak. Pardon the pun there. So, Salvador is here. How are you, my friend? And other people will soon be joining us at 3 p.m. I'm not entirely convinced that this 3 p.m. time slot is going to be the best time slot for us. But anyway, we'll see what happens here. Leah is here. How are you? And if you're just tuning in to Smart Drive Test here on the Smart Drive Test live stream, let us know where you're tuning in from in the world, and if you're going for what class of license you're going for. Also, if you're tuning in, let us know what vehicle that you're driving, and any questions you have about passing a road test or whatnot will certainly help you out with that. And Crispin is going to have his or her test in April. I apologize about that. Somewhat don't know the gender there. And Michelle is here. Shane is here. Hi there. So if you're tuning in to Smart Drive Test here to the live stream, let us know where you're tuning in from as well. Let us know what class of license you're going for. Jaden is here from Florida. Hello, Jaden. And yes, we're going to answer all those questions. Emil has a question. On the road, does the examiner time you how long you do the parallel parking? If you touch the curb, that's a automatic fail. No. They do not time you on the parallel parking, but obviously you need to demonstrate that you have due care and control of the vehicle. In other words, you have to have some skill in terms of what you're doing when you're parallel parking. That's what you're demonstrating to the examiner. You're demonstrating that you have due care and control of the vehicle in changing traffic conditions. So part of the slow speed maneuvers that you need to do for the purposes of your road test, parallel parking and those types of things, you need to be able to do those proficiently, and maybe one pull up at the most to get it to kind of correct it and get it into the space. Now, if you touch the curb, no, you're not going to fail. However, if you hit the curb or push one of the rear tires up over the curb, then yes, that's going to be a fail on a road test. But if you just touch the curb, you know that you touched it, and then you move forward and adjust, that's not a fail on a road test. All right, and that's what I meant in the video that I did there on parallel parking. So Edgar's here. Hello, Edgar. Hemza, I think I'm saying that right. I apologize if I'm not. New York City, Jonathan is here, and I believe, Jonathan, you just got your commercial license, your CDL license there in New York. Are you working on that right now? Just let us know there in the comments. All right, so if you're new to Smart Drive Test, Smart Drive Test helps new drivers get a license, veteran drivers remain crash-free, and CDL drivers to get start a career as a truck or bus driver. So consider subscribing as well. Hit that thumbs up button and hit that bell. That way you'll get instant notification when I get the videos up for you. Hamza is from Toronto, and Corey is here, just getting set up. Corey, Bricks for Wheels, you can see there in the blue, is the moderator here. Corey does an awesome job at getting the videos up for you. We have lots of video suggestions for you today on learning how to drive, how to get started in terms of, sort of the path that you're going to follow in terms of getting your license. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Salvador has a question. I'm going to do my test in about a month. Class B, non-hazard, doing your test. Should you stop before road crossings and shut the truck off or just slow down? Salvador, if the particular class of license that you're going for, so it's only school buses that I believe have to stop for railway crossings or trucks that are hauling hazardous materials. So if you don't have one of those, don't do what you don't need to do for the purposes of the road test. Because the other point, and this is for all of you taking a road test or working up towards your road test, is that if you are impeding traffic, and you don't have to be impeding traffic, they're going to ding you for that. They're going to give you penalty points. So if you stop at a railway crossing and you scan for traffic and you shouldn't be doing that for the vehicle that you're driving, they're going to assign demerit points. So know that. So only school buses, only trucks hauling hazardous materials. And if you show up with a vehicle loaded with hazardous materials on your road test, they're going to deny you. They're going to send you home. They're not going to take you out on your road test. Okay, so know that. All right, so Jonathan, yes, I already have my CDL. Last December, I thought I told you I'm a school bus driver. Yes, I was just remembering, Jonathan. Lots of people here on the channel are just trying to keep up. So there's a shortage of school bus drivers where I work, so I've been with them for almost 2 months. Excellent. Okay, so that's great. So I did remember that you did get your license, and here you are, and that's awesome. So it's just a small dump truck, okay, Salvador. So definitely no, you don't have to stop for railway crossings. Just slow down, scan the railway crossing, and then proceed with caution. That's all you need to do for the purposes of your road test. Emil did my road test. The examiner told me I failed because I touched the curb and did not went up on the curb, and he said I took too long to do the parallel parking. Yeah, that's unfortunate, Emil. So you kind of had a couple of strikes with you there. And essentially, it's not that you hit the curb or you took too long. It's the fact that you weren't demonstrating to the examiner that you had due care and control of the vehicle. And that's what the examiner was looking for. It wasn't because you touched the curb. It was because you just didn't demonstrate to the examiner that you had efficiency. So basically what you got to do is you got to practice your slow speed maneuvers for the purpose of your road test. Cody, yes, good to see you again. I'm from North Vancouver, BC. Excellent, North Van. There we go. All right, so we're going to head over here to the PowerPoint presentation and get that going for you. And we'll come back and I will answer any questions that you have. Leah, watching from Australia, manual driving lessons but need more techniques. Excellent, Leah. Corey will put up the manual transmission series for you. Have a look at those. Those will get you going, everything from A to Z. Okay. Hamza, when is the best time to start learning to drive? The best time to start learning is as soon as you can. The sooner you can get started, the better it's going to be. So we're going to get over to the presentation here, and I'll come back and I'll answer questions after that. So hold your questions and we'll get going here on this. So learning to drive, this is the video that you want to start with, and you want to be starting in a parking lot when you're learning how to drive. That's what you want to be doing. All right, so for those of you new to Smart Drive Test, my name is Rick August. I do have a PhD in legal history. And for those of you who don't know, legal history is the study of policing, courts, and prisons. And my expertise is in policing, oddly enough, as it relates to traffic. Yes, so I'm a bit overqualified in terms of being a driving instructor. I drove over-the-road trucks in the 1990s, which over-the-road means that it's long haul. You're gone for a week or two at a time. Oftentimes I was gone for a week. I'd be home for a day or so and then gone again. Ran LTL mostly up and down the eastern seaboard in the U.S., in the early 2000s, I moved to Australia and drove buses for Greyhound and one of the regional bus lines there. I became a licensed commercial driving instructor in 1997, so it's been almost more than 20 years now with an expertise in air brakes. So that's who I am, and what I'm doing here on the channel is helping you to pass a road test and remain crash-free as well. We're hoping to help CDL drivers. So if you passed a road test, we have a campaign over at the Smart Drive Test website helping 100,000 people get their license this year. So that is a lofty goal indeed, and we're working towards that. So if you've been successful on your road test, head over there and sign up for that as well. And Corey will put up the link for you. Now, first thing you need to do in terms of learning to drive is you need an introduction to the vehicle, whichever vehicle you're going to be driving. And if you're working with a mentor or you're taking driving lessons, your mentor can help you with that, the secondary controls of the vehicle and the primary controls. The primary controls are fairly straightforward. It's going to be the steering wheel, the throttle, and the brake. And the throttle, it can be the gas pedal or the accelerator. I call it the throttle because it works for both passenger vehicles and CDL vehicles, calling it the throttle. If you call it the gas pedal in a big truck or in a CDL vehicle, then that's not the correct terminology. You want to be calling it the throttle. So those are the primary controls. If you're driving a manual transmission, it's also going to be the clutch. And then you want an introduction to the secondary controls in the vehicle. And if you want an introduction to the secondary controls, you can have a look at this video here, Pass Your Road Test Car Controls. And this will give you an introduction to all of the controls inside of the vehicles. Pretty light on the creature comfort controls, you defrost and those types of things. But if you're taking a road test in the winter time, or in the fall and those types of things, you might have to work the windshield wipers or work the controls, so know that as well. Alright, so after you get an introduction to the vehicle and you know where you can turn on the lights, you know how the signals work, you know what the lights mean on the dash, you know how to work the seat controls and the seat belts and those types of things and adjust the mirrors and whatnot. Then you want to set up the vehicle so that you are comfortable in the vehicle, that you can manipulate the primary controls, the throttle, the brake, and the steering wheel. And have a look at this video on 8 steps to set up the controls inside the vehicle. And again, you need to be comfortable, you need to be at the proper distance from the steering wheel and the pedals on the floor so that you can control the vehicle and have good control of it. And you want to be buckled into your seat belt or into the seat and have your seat belt fastened, and you want to have that comfortable so it's not, you know, riding up on your stomach and those types of things, because if you get into a crash and your seat belt is over your stomach, you're going to sustain severe injuries. You want to have it over your hips, which is the strongest part of your body. All right. And as I said, you want to be able to control the vehicle correctly as well. So you want to look at setting up the vehicle. So even before you get started, you're probably on your first lesson, you're probably going to spend 20 minutes, 25 minutes being introduced to the vehicle, and then you're going to spend, you know, part of that setting up the seat, you know, knowing that your proper distance from the steering wheel, the brake pedal, the throttle, and having your mirrors set up and those types of things, and figuring out where the key goes in the ignition, figuring out how to turn the ignition on and those types of things, and parking brake as well. You need to know how to work the parking brake. Lots of very basic things, but unfortunately for many people who are teaching new drivers how to get started on driving a vehicle, who, you know, and some of these new drivers have little to no experience in a vehicle, even though they've been sitting in the back seat and watching their parents drive or their friends or family. A lot of these new students, when they get in a vehicle, have never been in a vehicle before. They don't know what the controls are for. So, and the other thing I will give, you know, for mentors and driving instructors who might be watching this, never assume a level of ability on the part of your student. In other words, don't assume that your student already knows to drive. If your student says to you, "Oh, I've been driving, doing this and that," don't assume. Okay? Take them out to a controlled area in a parking lot or something like that, and you know, let them demonstrate that they in fact can do, you know, demonstrate or have the ability that they say they do. Because I've been caught out by that, where students have said, "Oh, I have this amount of ability and this and that," and then I let them drive and found out that no, in fact, they don't have that level of ability. So make sure you do that first. And one other point that I'll make for mentors and teachers who are helping new drivers, the first lesson is also an assessment of learning. In other words, you're giving the student instruction on how to drive the vehicle, what they need to do, and those types of things, but you're also assessing their ability to take on information and implement it in their driving. So are they able to, when you put, you know, say 2 hands on the steering wheel, hand over hand, can they do 2 hands on the steering wheel at 10 and 2, and can they do hand over hand steering? So that's the other piece that you're doing in terms of people who are teaching new drivers and mentors. Okay, so we'll just leave that there for now, and we can talk a little bit more about that in question period. All right, so these are a couple of videos that you want to have a look at if you're starting in a parking lot and you want to get some of those 36-inch, 1-meter tall pylons. Delineators, as they're sometimes called, and you can pick those up at a rental shop fairly inexpensively. Okay, start driving. This is the Ohio maneuverability test. This is a specific exercise that they require in the state of Ohio in the United States. It's an excellent exercise for you to learn where the vehicle is in space and place, how to back up, how to master the primary controls, and figure out how to use the mirrors as well, because you can't back up through the pylons without using the mirrors on this exercise. So it's a great exercise. And as well, learning to drive, you know, forwards, backwards, backing around corners, and those types of things. All of this is excellent for new drivers to learn about the vehicle and get some feel for it before they actually go on the roadway. And this is where you want to start with most drivers. Yes, it's not sexy, but it's going to improve your overall ability to drive by doing these exercises in a parking lot. Now, one of the primary controls that you need to master is the throttle, or the accelerator, or sometimes called the gas pedal. You need to be able to control the throttle, and you need to figure out how it responds when you step on it aggressively and how fast the vehicle is going to go. If you have a Subaru WRX, it's going to take off and launch you in first gear, as opposed to my car, my 1988 Honda CR-V, that has a 2-liter in it. The buggy, as I call it, you know, 0 to 60 in 10 seconds. It's not going to accelerate. It's going to have a very different response than something with a, you know, than a sports car. So you're going to need to figure out how to control the speed. As well, you're going to have to be able to hold the speed at a particular setting. So when you're driving in town, you're going to have to hold the vehicle speed at 50 kilometers an hour, 30 miles an hour, depending on where you are. So you're going to have to learn how to do that. So you're going to have to learn how the throttle responds, and you can do that with some of the exercises in the speed control video. Slow speed maneuvers, and this is what we're talking about in terms of learning how to drive. 7/8 of your driving test is in a forward motion. 1/8 of the test is slow speed maneuvers, reversing, backing up, parallel parking, 2-point reverse turn, reverse bay parking, and those types of things. But it's that 1/7 of the test that's going to give you the most grief. So that's what you need to practice the most. All right, so in a parking lot, stopping control, working the brake, you want to come to a nice smooth stop. You also want to figure out what the anti-lock brakes feel like, and you're going to need to get the vehicle up to about 40 kilometers an hour, 20 miles an hour, and then you're going to have to slam on the brakes and hold them on as hard as you can. And if you haven't had the experience of ABS brakes before, definitely figure this out before you get out onto the road, because you don't want to get into an emergency situation and find out what ABS do, because pushback, shudder, grinding noise, sounding like you're launching the space shuttle, this is all normal for ABS brakes. So you want to figure this out in a parking lot, especially if you're a new driver. And I always get new drivers to figure this out and put on the ABS brakes. And basically you just got to get up a bit of speed and then hold the brakes on as hard as you can. The purpose of anti-lock brakes is to stop the wheels from locking up, because as I've said in many videos, a locked or spinning wheel always leads, and the purpose of anti-lock brakes is not to stop you in a shorter distance. Actually, they stop you in a longer distance, but it's to help you to maintain steering, and that's the purpose of the ABS brakes. And like I said, you don't want to figure that out in an emergency situation. You want to experiment with that before you get there. All right, steering control, the other thing with working in the parking lot and working with your delineators, 10 and 2 hand position. Yes, there are some different hand positions that you can do. Most steering wheels in vehicles will not let you do the 10 and 2, and the reason that they're advocating for the 10 and 2 is because of airbag deployment. And if you have your hands at 10 and 2, there is some possibility that you're going to get forearm injuries from the airbag deploying. So they've moved to 8 and 4, but I just don't feel that you have good control of the vehicle. So 10 and 2, 2 hands on the steering wheel all times, unless you're driving a manual transmission, you're shifting the transmission, but you immediately have to put your hand back on the steering wheel. This is the same for CDL drivers who are going for a license. 2 hands on the steering wheel all the time. Okay, and then you need to figure out where you are in the world. Most places in the world, there are a few exceptions. Hand over hand steering is what you want to do, and then you simply open your fingers, keep your palms in contact with the steering wheel when you go around the corner, and you can let it slide back through your palms. When it stops sliding, then you can simply close your fingers. Now, some places hand to hand. If you have any doubts about this, you're going to have to go to a driving school and ask one of the driving instructors, or go to the licensing center where they do the testing and ask them and see what they have to say about steering wheel control. Okay, so mentors, people helping new drivers learn to drive. The first thing I'm going to say about this is please, please, pretty please, do not lose your cool. Do not get excited or yell or those types of things. Okay, I know that you don't have any control of the vehicle sitting in the passenger vehicle, but it is very easy to take control of the vehicle. Most of the time, you don't have to accelerate. You simply have to bring the vehicle to a safe stop or steer it. Those two things are very easy to do. You simply push. Most of you are going to be in automatic vehicles. You push it into neutral and take a hold of the steering wheel, and you can steer the vehicle from the passenger seat. I've done that many, many times. There have been very few occasions in my career as a driving instructor that I have had to use a brake on the instructor side of the vehicle. Most of the time it's just been touching the steering wheel, making a minor adjustment, or putting the vehicle into neutral and just bringing it to a stop. Most of the time, good driving instructors who've already figured out what the ability of their student is, they introduce them to the driving environment slowly and start to build up their confidence, build up the new driver's ability. You can do that very easily, and most of the time you can simply talk the student through what they need to do, and it's going to be great. Now, new students who are learning to drive, if you've got time before your test, get in as many different vehicles as you can. I don't suggest this in the 4 weeks leading up to your test, but drive as many different vehicles as you can, drive with as many different people as you can, and drive in as many different kinds of traffic environments that you can. Snowing, raining, night, congestion, those types of things, any driving environment. All of this is going to improve your overall driving and make you better driver and make you ready for your test. And remember the fundamentals. Practice the fundamentals. Yes, slow speed maneuvers are not sexy. Working in a parking lot is not sexy. However, it is the basics of learning how to drive. It's no different than learning music and playing scales. It is yucky, boring, but it's going to make you a better musician. Same as driving. It's going to make you a better driver, okay? So you must master the basics, prepare for the opportunity, and luck favors the prepared. As Edna says in The Incredibles, one of my favorite characters. I love Edna, okay? So, and you can also take driving lessons, and hopefully the driving instructor is going to do all of this stuff for you to get you going. You can take whole classes, you can take individual lessons, and if you're not taking driving lessons, then I do strongly counsel you to take a mock road test in, 3 to 7 days before your actual road test. Just go to a driving school, ask them to do a practice driving test, and they'll do that, and the instructor will give you feedback about your readiness for the actual road test. Because remember, driving instructors teach drivers how to pass a road test every day. Okay? Every road test has 4 basic components: speed management, space management, observation, and communication. We can talk more about that in the question period. But if you're in doubt on a road test, simply stop, let the other traffic clear, and then proceed. Because as we say, you can be right or you can be dead right. So you don't want to force a situation. If there's another vehicle in your road or there's a possibility for a conflict, just let them go first, and then proceed on with your day. Okay? So requirements of a road test in terms of slow speed maneuvers: parallel parking, 3-point turn, 2-point reverse turn, stall parking, U-turns. And I can tell you for the road tests here in North America, parallel parking, 3-point turn, and stall parking, those are going to be absolutes on a road test. Almost everybody's going to be doing that, 90%. There is some discretion on the part of examiners, but for the most part, those are the slow speed maneuvers that are going to get you to do on a road test. Okay, so practicing for the road test: holding the vehicle in lane, observing and shoulder checking, responding to changing situations. When in doubt, stop. We already talked about that. And make sure that you come to a complete stop as soon as possible to the nearest shoulder when emergency vehicles approach. All right, good luck on your road test, and remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. And we'll head back over here and we will answer any questions that you have about your road test, and we'll move forward with that. Transition, there we go. So I'm back and we'll get going here, answering any questions. I see Corey's got the videos up there. Thank you very much for that. Patrick is here. Excellent. Hi, Patrick. Shady, I'm doing it with school, not the actual DMV, so I'm wondering if it will be different. Okay. Okay, so Elijah, I'm in British Columbia in Canada, okay? All right, Jonathan is answering some questions. Thanks you for that. I'll take me with their vehicle. Excellent. Shady's doing a road test coming up in Massachusetts. That's great. Okay, so if you're just tuning in here, let us know where you're from. Let us know what class of license you're going for, and we'll be able to help you out with all of that. And also, I'm going to talk a little bit about YouTube here because I wanted, one of my goals this year is trying to improve my videos, because one of the things that I have is I don't have a lot of people watching through to the end of my videos, and I put a poll up on the community tab here, and I asked people to help me out with that. So I'm gonna ask you a little bit with that and get you to help me with that. Okay, Summit, I live in Canada where sometimes there are big piles of snow on both sides of the street with cars parked on the sides. How to care not to hit the parked cars when cars come from the opposite end. Okay, and Summit, that's an excellent question, because I know what you're talking about in terms of piles of snow and the cars parked and those types of things, especially if you live in Ottawa, where it can get down to a single lane on residential streets because you got the snowbanks and you got the cars parked along. The best way to deal with that is to find a spot where you can pull in, because there aren't going to be cars parked in front of driveways and those types of things, but pull in, come to a stop, let the other vehicle go by, and then proceed. Okay, that's the best way to do that. One of you is going to have to stop and then let the other vehicle go around you. That's the best way to deal with that. Shane, your videos are awesome. Help me out huge. That's great. I'm really glad that we can help you out. So that's awesome. And Newell's going for his Class 5 in the summer, which is a car license. And 1170 soldier, what am I talking about? I'm talking about learning how to drive, the very beginning of starting your lessons towards passing your road test. So the very first lessons, what you need to do, get an introduction to the vehicle, learn about the secondary controls, the primary controls on the vehicle, going out to a parking lot, and what exercises you can do to learn how to master the primary controls, learn where the vehicle is in space and place, and how to observe and figure out how to use the mirrors, how to look up behind, how to back up, and those types of things. So that's what the presentation was about today. Okay, Jaden, was watching a video in school. I saw 3 of my old friends at the Bayfront Project Search, and I was actually crying since I missed them. That's always nice when you miss your friends. Yeah, I hear you. Okay, Nova, I need to learn how to drive before the summer. Okay, so Nova, do you have access to a vehicle and those types of things? Just let me know down in the comments there. Chili 96, driving interested in the industry. So you want to become a CDL driver? Is that what you're thinking of doing? Or are you thinking to going to truck driving school and becoming a truck or bus driver? Just let me know there and we'll help you out there. Fiona, I'm learning to drive at present, but I have no one to give me the extra practice. I'm in Elmer, Ontario. What would you recommend? I am presently the holder of a G1. Okay, so Fiona, I've had this question before with people who don't have other people to help them out. Now, Fiona, do you have access to a car? Do you have a car presently, or are you simply relying on driving schools to provide a car with you and those types of things? Just let me know here in the comments. Okay, Summit, you're most welcome. Jonathan, yeah, there you go. Okay, so 1170 Soldier, where should you first learn to practice to drive on the road? Okay, so 1170 Soldier, you should not be on the roadway when you're first learning how to drive. Your first lesson is mostly going to be in the car, and it's going to be mostly you getting an introduction to the vehicle, and then the next thing you should be doing, if you do move to driving, you should be in a parking lot. You should be working with those 36-inch, 1-meter tall delineators. On the first lesson with new students driving a car, I am very seldom on the roadway with a new driver. I am often in the car with them in a parking lot, because first, as I said in the lesson, the first lesson is an assessment for learning. It's also, you know, very basics for students, but for me as an instructor, me as a mentor, it's assessment for learning. How much does the student know? How much can the student take on? So when I'm giving the student instruction and the student is demonstrating to me what he or she is doing, I say to them, you put your hands at the 10 and 2, you keep your hands on the steering wheel all the time, you need less than a quarter of a turn for most turns when you're driving, hand over hand. Can the student do all of that? If the student can do all of that, then I'm going to move on to the next level, and I'm going to increase the severity, or not the severity, but the difficulty of the learning. And I'll tell you right now, if you want to mess a student up on a first lesson and they think that they're it in a bit, because you do get some students who are like, hey, I can do that, I'm just the coolest driver in the world, then what you do is you just set up 2 pylons and get them to do figure 8s through the pylons forward, and when they get that all mastered and they think that they're it in a bit, then you get them to do it in reverse. And let me tell you, it's going to mess with your head when you drive a vehicle backwards doing reverse figure 8s around pylons in a parking lot. It's a bit more challenging, let me tell you. Okay, so Chili, is it possible that you can go to truck driving school? Is that something you can fund yourself, or is there a possibility that you might be able to get on with a company, one of the bigger companies, that would train you and give you a mentor program? Because those I really recommend for new drivers, because it's the best way to get experience in the industry and really know what you're up against when you're learning how to drive. So that's a possibility for you. Okay, so I have a training school taking me on. They are eager to have me on driving flat deck and heavy equipment securement. Okay, so that's a possibility, Chili. If you're going to do that, then, you know, if you got a company that's willing to take you on, willing to train you and give you experience, that's one of the best ways to do it, because otherwise you get thrown into the deep end and there isn't a whole lot of support within the industry. So if you can do that, I would really counsel you to move forward with that. Okay, Virtuous, any tips to help on nerves? Yes, definitely. We have all kinds of tips. There's a video here on fear and anxiety. Remember the 4 most powerful words in the English language: I can do this, right? We undermine ourselves because unfortunately we all have that little voice in our head, the demon in there that we have to overcome. But, you know, I can do this. I'm a safe driver. And again, exposure to the vehicle, you know, getting in the vehicle, getting comfortable with the vehicle, driving in closed circuit areas, in parking lots and those types of places that don't have a lot of traffic. And when you do start driving on residential roads, those types of things where there isn't any traffic, and that way you can get used to the vehicle and be very comfortable with the vehicle. And as well, if you have a good mentor or somebody like that who's going to, you know, introduce you slowly to more and more challenging types of driving. So that's what you need to do in terms of reducing your fear and anxiety when you're driving. Okay, 1170 Soldier, I missed the first message. Okay. Yeah, exactly what Jonathan said there. That's great. Yep. You don't really have anyone to do hands-on learning with. Okay, so Nova, one of the things that I tell people is in terms of not being able to get somebody that can help you to practice your driving, there are lots of seniors around. There's lots of seniors' homes. You just have to basically get in touch with these seniors because they have vehicles and they're just sitting in the garage and they don't have anybody to drive it. So you could drive seniors around. They all have a license. They can help you practice what you need to do. You can put an ad in a local classified saying, listen, I'm looking for an experienced driver who can sit and help me learn to drive. That's another option. You know, put it out there and ask, because the more you ask, people are more than willing to help you out to learn how to drive. So just keep asking people, ask as many people as you can, and the more people that you can get in the vehicle with you and drive with you and let you practice what you need to do for the purposes of getting your license, the more prepared you are when that stranger, the driving examiner, gets in the vehicle. You're not going to be so thrown by that because you already had a lot of people in the vehicle watching you drive and helping you learn how to drive. So that's going to be a lot easier for you. So do that if you can. And like I said, put an ad in the classified asking for, you know, experienced drivers that will help you do that. Okay, and you'll probably get somebody that will be able to help you do that. Okay. Government will fund me, second career, 12 weeks long. Excellent. 12 weeks is an awesome amount of time to learn how to enter the career, enter into the CDL, you know, as a truck driver. I didn't say that very well, but that you get the gist of what I was trying to say there. Okay, Hall phase. Can you rent a car? You cannot rent a car, Hall phase. You have to have a full license to be able to rent a car. As well, for insurance purposes on most of these rental places, you also have to be 25 years old. And a lot of people who are getting a first license are not going to be 25 years old. Okay, Keisha, my biggest problem is reversing. My heart feels like it comes through my mouth. Okay, Keisha, so definitely what I would suggest to you in terms of reversing the vehicle and getting more comfortable with reversing is to do that with those 36-inch, 1 meter tall pylons in a parking lot. And again, Keisha, look at the Ohio maneuverability test. That will be an excellent exercise for you to do in order to improve your reversing. Because let me tell you, Keisha, I know that right now it seems overwhelming and it seems incredibly challenging. However, if you get better at reversing the vehicle, you're going to be a better driver overall. You're going to be a better driver overall, I guarantee you. Because if you can reverse well in a vehicle, then you can drive that vehicle forward easily, okay? So if that's your challenge, keep working at it and get better at it. And remember, if you hit the pylon, it's not a big deal. And actually, I encourage students to hit the pylons, because if you hit the pylon, then you know where your vehicle is in space and place. And you're going to learn more. You're going to learn a lot more about the blind areas around your vehicle. So try to hit the pylons for, you know, a couple of times and then carry on from there. And Corey's put the video up for you there on the Ohio maneuverability test. Okay? And excellent. So Chili, you're going to be learning on 13 and 18 speeds, and that's awesome, because if you can learn how to drive a 13 and an 18 speed, the rest of the vehicles are going to be very easy to be able to drive. All right? Okay? All the best, Fiona. Excellent. That's great. Summit, what's your thoughts on adding videos about fixing basic issues of cars? that all drivers should know, and to know about warnings that your car is telling you. Yes, those are some videos, Summit, that I should put up for sure, and I'll definitely add those to the list on basic maintenance. Yeah, definitely. And as I said, I'm trying to reconceptualize how I'm doing my videos and the information. And we'll talk about this here. I'll just answer a couple more questions and we'll go over to the poll, and maybe you guys can give me some feedback and those types of things. Okay, Cody, what is the signaling procedure for cul-de-sacs? I've seen the U-turn video and I'm a little confused. All right, so Cody, essentially a cul-de-sac is a U-turn. And essentially you're just going to come up, you're going to signal to the left, you're going to shoulder check, check your mirrors, make sure there's no traffic behind you, no traffic beside you or other road users, and then you're just simply going to go around the cul-de-sac and you're going to come back out, right? That's basically all it is. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Martin. Is there a way to report an examiner that works for the DMV for CDL, because there is a female that tried to fail all students that go to get tested for their air brake test and pre-trip inspection? Martin, unfortunately not. You're going to have a very hard time coming up against an examiner. And if you're having difficulty with that examiner, know that if you go for another test, you're going to have a different examiner on the next attempt. It's very unlikely that you're going to have the same examiner 2 times in a row when you're going for your road test. But unfortunately, driving examiners are almost untouchable. It's just the amount of energy and effort for you to be able to launch to file a complaint against that examiner. It's very difficult, and I would strongly suggest that instead of putting your energies into reporting that examiner, I would counsel you to put your energies into increasing, leveling up your driving game and making sure you pass your road test. I know it's frustrating. It's incredibly frustrating because it's not fair. It's a little bit like trying to come up against a university professor. Your complaint is going to fall on deaf ears. I'm sorry. I don't have good news for you. Okay. Shady, could points be taken away for going a little too slow on the side streets? Yes, they can, Shady, because remember, due care and control of the vehicle in changing traffic situations as you're driving. Now, saying that, if there's parked cars along both sides, you have limited vision, there's a playground, there's kids playing in the front yards of the houses and those types of things, then no, you are justified for going slower for the road test. But know that if you drive too slow on your road test, it's just as bad as if you drive too fast. Okay, so you need to know that. All right. Excellent. So Chili said, I find your videos easy to watch, very helpful. Excellent. Thank you so much, Chili. Okay. When parking, 1170 Soldier, when parking, how can you tell how close to the edge in front of you when there is a blind spot area right there? Okay, and 1170 Soldier, that's an excellent question. You're trying to figure out the blind areas around your vehicle, and you work with those 36-inch, 1-meter tall pylons, and then you can figure out your reference points on the vehicle and how close you can get to the pylon before you hit it, because if you hit it with the car, it's not a big deal, right? So that's one of the things that you're doing when you're working in the pylon or working in the parking lot, is you're learning space and place. You're learning where the vehicle is in space in relation to your blind areas around your vehicle. So that's what you're doing. Hall phase, what will the next video be about? The next video, I think, actually, Hall phase, I'm going to do a behind the scenes video. I'm doing a collaboration video with LPT guy who does videos on how to do Final Cut Pro. So him and I are doing a collaboration. I can't say that word. And yeah, so that's what it's going to be about. It's a behind the scenes about how I shoot the videos. Okay, Rajan, can they fail you if you don't parallel park properly? Rajan, it depends on what mistakes you make on parallel parking. But I would suggest to you, and I would suggest that everybody else who's watching this video anywhere in North America, just about anywhere in the world, that parallel parking is one of the fundamentals of a road test, and you need to be able to do that. Okay. Okay, Martin, I have had all the students to put a review on the examiner, but nothing gets done. What would be the proper procedure from California? Okay, like I said, Martin, unfortunately, there isn't anything you can do. it's very unlikely that you're going to see results from complaining about that instructor, that examiner at the DMV. I'm sorry. I don't have good news for you. Okay, Cody, I've noticed some of your previous live streams aren't archived on the channel. I wanted to rewatch them for researching. Cody, they should all be here. If you're missing one, let me know, and we'll see if we can dig that up for you and get it to you, okay? Keisha, drive a 2012 Honda and still not formally with the car. Like how to change a tire. I'm so scared of night driving. Please post more videos. Okay, so Keisha, we can definitely get the night driving video up for you. Corey will get that up for you. Oh, okay, Martin, you're trying to get an answer for the students. Martin, I'm sorry. The only advice that I can give you, Martin, is to go to a different test center. You know, because unfortunately, like I said, I've been there before with driving examiners, and some driving examiners, you know, like I said, they're untouchable. Okay? Shady, after waiting 3 seconds at a stop sign and you creep forward, can they take points away for stopping too long? Yes, Shady, you don't need to stop for 3 seconds. You need to look at the video on how to come to a complete stop at an intersection. It's not about the amount of time that you're waiting at an intersection. You need to stop at the correct position at the stop sign intersection, and you need to bring the vehicle to a complete stop. And the way that you know the vehicle is at a complete stop is that you drive forward, you brake just before the vehicle comes to a stop, release the brake, reapply the brake, and when you feel the body settle back over the chassis, that's when you know the vehicle has come to a complete stop. The vehicle has completely stopped moving, in other words. And there's a video here that Corey will put up for you, and that'll help you out. Okay, Hall phase. Do you know how tacking a road test is like in Iran and places like that? I don't know how it is Hall phase in Iran, but I do know in the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, that it is an incredibly tough test. And actually I have a fairly high number of students here on the channel who are from the UAE who do the road test, and I've had questions about the road test there, and I've got some of the insight into that. I do know that there are speed bumps that are part and parcel of their road test in the UAE, and it can be a little bit more difficult for people who are doing road tests in that country. Also, Germany tends to be a bit more difficult, other countries and those types of things, but for the most part, they're more or less the same. There are some nuances in different places in the world that it can be slightly different, but for the most part, that's how it goes. Okay, yeah, okay, so like Jonathan said here about parallel parking, they will assign points if you're too far away from the curb when you're parallel parking, or you're not straight in the slot when you're reverse stall parking and those types of things. But it's just a matter of trying to minimize the amount of demerit points that they assign to your test, because you know, it depends on where you are, but I think for the most part, most passenger vehicles, you're allowed 45 demerits to be assigned, unless it's a dangerous action. So if you're under the 45 demerits, nobody's going to ask you after you pass your road test, oh, what did you do wrong? We don't care what you did wrong. We only care that you passed. So that's basically all you need to do, is you need to do enough right on your road test that you're successful in passing your road test. All right. All right. Okay. So what I was asking before in the last few minutes, we're kind of getting in the last quarter of the live stream here today. I was asking previously, I put a video up last week, and it was on Thursday. So it's been up Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So it's been up for 3 days now. And on 3 days, essentially what authorities look at on YouTube is they look at watch time. Okay, so when somebody clicks on a video and they watch your video, how much of that video do they actually watch? And authorities say that what you want to do is you want to try and get 50% of the people who click on the video to watch through to the end. So 50%. And so I looked at this video and I thought it was fairly good, because I did one take on the video and then I did another take, because the original go through on the video was just me presenting facts. And then one of the things that I was trying was doing more storytelling, and you know, trying to incorporate my teaching into stories so that it's more interesting, right? And anyway, I followed sort of the same format that I've had before, where it's kind of the 20-second intro, and then prologue, and then sort of flow into it. And the video turned out to be 14 minutes. So essentially what I'm going to do is I'll go back here and I'll show you the poll that I put up here. So, okay, so you should be able to see the poll here now. So this is the poll. Essentially, these are the 4 choices that I asked smart drivers. Was the content is good, but it needs to be in a different order. So 24% said that it needed to be in a different order. So that's almost a quarter of the people that responded to the poll. So we almost have 100 people. We have 91 votes on this. It'll probably be up a couple hundred tomorrow. So 25 people, a quarter of the people that responded to the poll said that the content is good, but it needs to be in a different order. So essentially what I'm getting from this, and then 60% said the video is too long. Okay, so it's 14 minutes long. So what people are telling me, and probably another poll that I'm going to put up, is I'm going to ask people how long they ideally should think the video should be. 3 to 5 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. And very few people said that the video quality could be, and very few people gave me something else. So essentially, 85% of people said that the content is good, it needs to be in a different order, and the video needs to be shortened. So essentially what I need to do is I just need to focus on main points in the video and get to it as quickly as I can. So it just needs to be, condensed more, and I can do that. So this is essentially what I'm looking at with the videos here. So if you have any feedback, you can leave me comments and those types of things. All of that is greatly appreciated, because this is really your channel. These videos are for you to educate you. And I don't want to be putting up content that people aren't watching, right? Because I'm only getting a third of people to the end of the video, and what I'm trying to do is to get more people through to the end of the video, and that way I can get more information to smart drivers and help them out, and that's what I want to try and do. So if you can help me do that with any feedback that you have on how I can improve the videos and those types of things, that would be greatly appreciated. Okay. Okay, so back to questions here, and we'll just get wrapping up here and answer a few more questions. Okay, so 1170 Soldier, how do you earn moderation here on the Smart Drive channel? Well, you talk to me, send me an email, tell me why you want to be a moderator, and then we'll let you in on a probationary period. That's what we do. So, Cody, someone was tailgating me this week, honking even though I was doing 60 kilometers an hour in a 50 zone. They ended up passing me and tailgating the driver ahead. Yes, and that's what happens, Cody. And you did the right thing getting them to pass and go around you. And the other thing that you can do, Cody, in terms of people tailgating you, is simply increase your following distance from the vehicle in front of you, because now you're driving for you and the stupid head behind you that's also tailgating you. And Corey will put up the video here on being rear-ended, and that will give you a bit more information and some tips and techniques that you can put in place that will guard against you being rear-ended by tailgaters and those types of things. Okay, Cody, yes, people need to be more careful. Hall phase, why does it matter if people skip around in the video and not watch the whole thing? No, that's not really what I'm saying, Hall phase. What I'm saying is I know that people are going to do that. What I'm trying to do is that, so the video that I'm looking at, and this is indicative of most of my videos, okay? Most people, the average watch time on most of my videos, regardless of how long the video is only about 5 minutes. So I'm thinking that for most people who are watching the videos here on the Smart Drive Test channel, their attention span, like, I should really be trying to make the videos into 5 minutes. Now, the other option that I have is to make 3 or 4 videos that are each 5 minutes. And if I can do that, then I can have a 3-part series and have people watch them. But in my experience, okay, I can't say that. I was just going to say in my experience, people don't watch the other parts of the video. Because, I have the whole manual transmission video series. The first video gets a lot of watch time. The second, third, and fourth videos get very little watch time. People do not go on and watch the rest of the videos. So, or the other option is to have one short kind of trailer video highlighting the main points like I do here with the live streams, and then refer people to a longer video. So if they want more information, they can watch the longer video. I mean, that's another option that we could do as well to increase watch time here on the channel and improve the quality of the videos. And then finally, you know, most of you have gone over to Cameo Facile, and he does that very punchy, you know, quick highlights, flipping around between different images and those types of things, having music under the narration and those types of things. I mean, that's another option too, is to take lessons from that type of video and have that kind of presentation. And you know, I don't know whether that's an option as well. So, I mean, there's lots of options, and any feedback that smart drivers have will help me out, okay? Hall phase, why do you think there's so much honking in major cities? Because I think that people are very short on time and get frustrated in their vehicles, and there's a very long discussion about that hall phase, that people feel comfortable in their vehicles, you know, like their homes, and their rawest emotions, that's where they express them. So that's one of the reasons why there's a lot of honking, okay? And it's also part of the driving culture in bigger cities. Marcia, how are you, my friend? Excellent. Okay, Newell, I can't imagine important driving information in only 5 minutes. Please make 2 or 3 parts because I would watch. Excellent. Newell, thank you for that feedback. That's awesome information to know. Okay, Cody, I like to watch all videos you make. When I first found the channel, I was binging and then ended up having to re-watch all of them to do them to memory. Excellent. Okay, Cody. And you know, Cody, on that note of what you just said here, you know, I know that the videos that I make are very in-depth in terms of the information that I present to you, because that's what I try to do, is I try to give you the most detailed information that I can, because I'm very much, I'm an intellectual. I like the details, right? And I think that there's an audience, and obviously I've built an audience as we're fast approaching 100,000 smart drivers. I think there's an audience that likes that detail. They like the question of why, they want that question answered, and maybe I've already found the niche. Maybe because my videos are longer, because I delve into things and I give you the detail, I give you the explanation, I give you lots of examples of how things can work, because believe me, driving is one of the most complex tasks you will do on a daily basis, and this is what I'm trying to explain to you. So maybe the videos don't have to change. I don't know. Maybe they do. Maybe I can improve them somehow. But I mean, this is one of the things about long-term endeavors that we always do, right? When we're doing something for a long period of time, we're always trying to make it better, right? We're trying to make the viewing experience for smart drivers better. So that's what we're trying to do. So, you know, maybe I just need to stick with the recipe that I already have. I don't know. We'll see what happens here. Okay, Marcia, I like the details. Thank you very much, Marcia. I appreciate your feedback. Summit, I like your idea of having longer videos. Yeah, and create 5 minutes. That saves your time, and people can decide which version they want to watch. Okay, excellent. Thanks, Summit. I appreciate your feedback on that. Hall phase, I think going in depth is better than skimming through. Excellent. Okay. Jonathan, I'm happy to help around every time you stream and give advice to everyone who is getting their license and CDL to those who already have it. And that's excellent. Thank you so much, Jonathan. All about vehicles. Sorry I'm late. No, that's okay. Excellent. I'm glad you tuned in here for the last little bit. We're just wrapping up here the last few minutes here, and we were talking about the videos, about presentation of information, how I might be able to do that better, because one of the things I was talking about all about vehicles was I put a video up last week. It was 14 minutes, and I put a poll up, and people said that that's too long. And you know, I'm a little bit on side with that. You know, I watch a video and I see that it's over 10 minutes, and I think to myself, you know, that's a long time. Do I have 15 or 20 minutes to watch that video? And a lot of times I have to come back to it. So, you know, maybe what I need to do is I need to give a lot more thought about the information that I'm going to present, pick out the absolute necessity or the absolute key points that I want to present, and then try and keep it, you know, as short as I can. Okay, so Sam is here, Driving Lessons by Big Mac Sam. Hello, Sam. And for those of you who don't know Sam, Driving Lessons by Big Mac Sam. Sam is a driving instructor that works for Rookie Auto Driving School in the Bronx in New York City. So if you're in that area, definitely look up Sam. Sam is an excellent driving instructor as well. Sam also has a YouTube channel that you can check out, and certainly give him a thumbs up there and support what Sam is doing, because Sam is a really good driving instructor and has certainly supported the Smart Drive Test YouTube channel here since since the early days. So Sam has been around for a while. So hello, Sam. Okay, Summit, I think I'm curious. Viewers want longer videos and patients don't, and you will have a mix of both. Yes, thank you, Summit. So, you know, maybe the other thing from that, Summit, is maybe you just have a mix of videos. I have longer videos, and then I have some of those punchy videos, you know, that, you know, are more like trailers, and it's like if you want to see the longer in-depth vision, you can have a look at this video. So maybe, you know, and that's been suggested to me as well. So maybe that's something I'm going to consider. Sam, you are most welcome, my friend. Anything we can help out there. Okay, Hall phase. You can have an intro type video, the next day make an in-depth video on that topic. Yeah, so that's something definitely that I can have a go there with Hall phase. Virtuous. Oh, and your videos are just fine. 10 minutes is great. Yeah, so I'm thinking Virtuous. That's kind of the length of time that I'm looking for in terms of my videos, is trying to keep them around that 10-minute video. And I think, you know, if I do a bit more work in terms of planning the video, that I should be able to do that with the 10 minutes. And if it's not 10 minutes, then, you know, maybe it's not something to get too excited about. If it is longer, then maybe what I can do is just do an intro video, do a highlights video like I do with the hour videos here, and then people can watch the highlights, and if they want more information, then they can watch the longer video. That has definitely been suggested. So I'm thinking, you know, I've got a fair bit of feedback about that I might lean towards doing that, and that's really great. Virtuous, I was asking about the night glasses because it is difficult for me to see at night. Do night glasses help with glare? Okay, so Virtuous, one of the things you want to do with night driving, this is an excellent point, is that when other traffic is coming towards you, especially when you're just on two-lane, a divided two-lane where you've got one lane of traffic going in one direction and the other lane going in the other direction, is when cars are approaching, and I know that there are some vehicles out there now that have some of these Nighthawk headlights and those types of things. There's an incredible amount of glare coming off the headlights, is to look down to the edge of the road, looking down at the fog line. That way you're not staring into that oncoming traffic, because you want to try and protect your night vision, right? Because at night our pupils get bigger, they dilate, so that we can take in more light because of the reduced amount of light at night, right? So we want to try and protect that, because when you get blinding light, then your pupils close up and you don't get your night vision anymore. So always be looking down at the outside of the road when other traffic is going by. That way it's going to protect your night vision. That's what you want to be doing at night. I'm not so sure. I've talked to a lot of different people who, you know, those night glasses and the glare and those types of things, I don't think they really work that well. I don't have a lot of experience with them. Maybe that's something that I could do a video on, is go and get some of those night glare glasses and see what happens. I mean, maybe Sam has had some experience with those. Me personally, I haven't had any experience with them. So I hate the sun glare while driving. Had to bring down the mirror cover from my head. Yes, sun glare, especially at sunset, is going to be pretty incredible. Gerald, planning to do my driving school in March. Would you please advise me between automatic driving license and manual, which is better? Greetings from Germany. Excellent. Gerald, Europe is a little bit different. I think in terms of entering and getting a truck driving license in Europe, I think that you would be fine with an automatic license. I mean, you're obviously going to be more employable if you can drive manual, because there are going to be companies that are going to have some manual transmissions and those types of things. But I think in Europe, a large portion of the trucks, probably almost half of them, are automatic. So I think you might be all right there. Epic. Well said, Rick. And your stop line video seems to be helpful to me. Talked about requiring a full stop on road test instead of rolling stop, just like most people. Yeah, so make sure you do that. And if you're figuring out how to do a complete stop, have a look at the complete stop video there. Okay. Yes, so we're heading up to the end here, and we'll just answer a couple more questions here, and then we'll do that. And as well, look down in the description there, and you can head over to the Smart Drive Test website and sign up for your road test checklist. It give you a complete checklist of all the things you need to do to be successful on passing a road test, and the day that you go in for your test, the things that you need to do a pre-trip inspection on your vehicle, make sure that you have all of your identification, make sure you have your money, and those types of things, okay? Sam, yes, your longest video got the most views. And Sam, my second most viewed video is my 30-minute non-synchronous shifting transmission video for truck driving. It's my most viewed video. It's not the most watched video, but it's definitely one of my highest ranking videos. Okay. Percy, I got the hard time for sharp turning and I'm not comfortable in the vehicle. I'm from Georgia. Okay, so Percy, definitely have a look at those other videos, the Learn to Drive video and the Ohio Maneuverability Test. And those two exercises will help you out in terms of going for your road test. Okay, so Marcia, I have a problem with inconsistent speed. So Marcia, you definitely want to look at the speed control video and do the exercises in that video, and that'll help you with your speed control as well. The slow speed maneuvers will help you out. All right, so thank you everybody for showing up. We're going to end it there, and we'll definitely answer any questions. If you have any questions at all, leave us a comment in the videos. We'd be more than happy to help you out. I do try to get to those every couple of days to answer people's questions. You know, hit the thumbs up button, hit the bell, subscribe to the YouTube channel. As I said, we're fast approaching the 100,000 mark, and we're going to have a huge celebration for that. And thank you everybody for your comments and showing up here in the live stream. Congratulations to all those people, all the smart drivers in the last week or so who have passed a road test, and good luck to those smart drivers who are coming up for a road test. All the best, and remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. Have a great day. Bye now.